I'm going to talk a little bit about the animation for Flash games, or applied game theory, with an emphasis on Flash. And that's what I'll be kind of lecturing on today. This is all. It's kind of. I'm going to give you kind of a gee whiz overview in a lot of ways. We'll look at a lot of neat stuff. Probably get a volunteer from the audience to play a game or two. You look like too close. Yeah, okay. And then I'll certainly take your questions. Let's go ahead and let's try, Richard. Let's click on this one right here, the stunt bike. This is an example of what the introductory class is like. You make a runtime demo, a prototype, with all the graphics, all the animation. Now this is not interactive, you're just watching this, but this is to basically do all the work and sell the idea in a sense. But basically it's doing all the work that you hand to a programmer and they program it, okay? So the purpose of applied game theory for Flash games is to basically apply the theory, make all this stuff, yeah, let it run again. You know, the goal here, and he's achieved this, that you have no question what his game is supposed to be, right? Okay. All the animation, so when you go to the programming side, all the work that's already been done, all the artwork, it's just a matter of now then, we've organized it in a way so that the second class is ActionScript for Flash games. It can be programmed. So I teach the first half and prep all that stuff. I kind of set them up, and the other class knocks them back, in a sense. Okay, we got that? Richard, let's try another one. Go ahead and close that out. Okay, let's try the Closet Monster Mayhem to the left of it here real quick. There you go. This is another example, now for something completely different. Kind of macho male one, now here's kind of a feminine one. And again, the point here is to be able to explain what will happen. But you'll notice now, I mean, those of you that play Flash games, Newgrounds, Yahoo games, such like that, this is pretty standard fare, right? In terms of what you're used to seeing. Okay. So just, side-scroller, Mario Brothers-y kind of game. Nice and cute. Let's try another one here. So at this stage, maybe I can get a volunteer from the audience. Richard, if you don't mind, I'd kind of like to let maybe this guy over here. What's your name?
Deb.
Deb?
Tim.
Tim, sorry, hello, deafness. Can you click on Utter Chaos right there? Let's try that one. And this is an actual working game. Can we let Tim sit down and just do it real quick? And then Richard, you'll be back in a sec. Don't go away. Okay. So this is a game that's fully completed. This is the result of a two-semester back-to-back thing. Now we've got your intro screen. Now again, this is completely made by a student. I had a lot to do with getting the animation. And yes, it's slightly obscene. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop him. That is an utter. Okay. Let's go ahead and start the game. All right. Okay. All right. Now, this game has actually gone on. This was made a couple years ago. This game has gone on to, create a fair amount of fame for George Scalaris. I haven't kept in touch with him lately, but I had a lot of fun working with him on this. Particularly the cow animation, what things are happening with that. This is what animators obsess on, little nerdy things, like, the thing flapping in the back of its head, the little sparkles, on the thing, the speed of the clouds as they go by, what the explosions look like. Yeah, it's all good. That's exactly the reaction we're looking for here, okay? All right. So, this is the whole, George has had a great time. And yes, scatological humor is alive and well on the internet, no doubts. Okay, you getting a high score? You're doing pretty good, man. Have you played this before?
I think more of this could be improved is by making it so you can't just pretty much stand and fire.
Okay, so does that mean you're going to take my class and do better than this? Is that what I'm hearing?
Oh, totally.
Okay, good. I'm holding you to that, man. Tim, I got your name now, man. Okay, no, he's doing really great, actually. And you'll notice that the challenge accelerates. And we'll show you more examples of that. But I think what I'm trying to emphasize is here, those of you that are used to Flash games out there in the world, you should be impressed that a student can make something like this and, that make it as, oh, that's it, you're fired, Tim. That's it, man. Oh! Okay. Let's do something, Tim, just out of, okay.
Okay, never mind. I take my place back.
Okay, no, it's a, okay, let's give him a round of applause. Good job, Tim. Way to go. No, don't go anywhere. No, Tim, stay there, bud. Hey, Tim, stay there. I got one more for you. Okay, let's do one thing. Just play again real quick, dude, and don't fight. Just go ahead and just hit play. Just let the cow just sit there. I want to show you guys something. Just hit start game. Okay, let's let the cow just sit there. Don't do anything. The AI program is not really artificial intelligence, but you kind of program in a sense, well, he died immediately. Let him go a couple more times, because sometimes he'll just sit there and the UFOs can't quite find him. But they're finding him immediately now. Okay, never mind. They put him up there, yeah, see what happens. And the idea here is the programming is something that I'm not a programmer. I certainly work with programmers all the time. I appreciate them greatly because they make all my stuff work. Utter failure, yeah. Try just one more time, dude. Because I did this last night in prep a little bit, and he just sat there, and the UFOs didn't know what to do with him. Yeah, there you go. And after a while, you see that this is sort of an independent thing that's just kind of happening. And if you just stay put in there's kind of sweet spots here every once in a while that he doesn't know where you are, you know. Okay, finally got him. Okay, anyway, that's just a little bit. That's about the extent of my programming knowledge. Yeah, go ahead and close that one. That's good. I think we've had a lot of fun with the cows. Let's go ahead and do the ninja duel on the upper right. Yeah, that one there. Okay, let's see what you can do with that. Now, I think it's the arrow keys, and then your space bar is your jump. Or is it your space bar your jump, or your up key is? You got it all figured out? So pretty soon the red guy, move around here. Where did the red guy go? Should be here someplace. He was working last night. Wait a minute. Okay, keep doing stuff until the red guy shows up. There he is. Okay. So now we're going to deconstruct this one a little bit. We'll get into the guts of how this is put together. You know, I'll show you the back end. We're just looking at the fun, pretty stuff after it's all the hard work is over with. This is one of those games that I don't think the sound effects are working. I'm just going to see if he can actually beat the red guy. And don't tell him, but it's impossible to beat the red guy. Okay. Yeah. You'll see. Well, you're doing pretty good, actually. We'll break this into pieces here. But you'll see we're talking about, now this is nerdy animation guy stuff, but multiple planes of motion. We've got one level here, a second level here, and a third level in the back. That gives an artificial sense of depth, a sense of dimension when there really is none. And these are the sort of things that I really obsess about. And this is the, essentially what my job is in a lot of ways. Is the class runs like this. We'll do a lot of introductory stuff. The 50-minute lectures where we kind of lay out. It's like a huddle before the play in football. We get ready, break. We spend the first 50 minutes pretty much talking about what we're going to be doing for the week, and then I run labs. Usually about 2 hours every day, and then Fridays I do about an 8-hour or 6-hour lab, where a lot of it is hands-on stuff, where I'm pretty much shoulder to shoulder with the students, kind of going around. They get started. They do a lot of stuff on their own. We have online tutorials. I'll show you some examples of that. But then a lot of what I do and what a lot of the instructors do in the lab format is literally just is the classic mentoring thing, where you think like way back in the day when it was an apprenticeship program. It's kind of like that. I work with them very closely, and kind of the big philosophy here at UAT and a lot of schools that are progressive are your student-centered learning, constructivist learning theory, which is what my graduate degree was all about. Okay, have you beaten this thing? You haven't, but you've lasted longer than most, I gotta say, because it's impossible to beat the red guy. Are we sick yet? Are we gross? Is it like enough? Just die already, dude. Okay.
We're getting negative help.
There's still a few bugs in the system, obviously. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, that's good. Let's give Tim a round of applause. Thank you, sir. Okay. Thanks, man. Let's go to UAT FlashGames prototypes. I'm in the process of making kind of an internal Newgrounds for UAT. We're going to call it, I don't know what, UAT Grounds or something. We'll come up with a cooler name than that. This is kind of the beginning. Let's do this is more recent stuff. Let's go ahead and do Daniel Jones, the Pond Wars. Yeah, that's that one. I really like how good this looks really big if it'll load. There you go. And again, this is a runtime demo. So now I'm back to the first semester, the 2-semester arc. So my focus in these classes, now there's no sound on this, but my focus on these classes is character animation, character design, little things like getting the little ripples to look good so the thing kind of flexes, giving that the illusion that you're in water, all this kind of stuff. It's very much something I can't lecture en masse to the students. I kind of give overviews, and then I work with the students one-on-one to get little things like little wiggle cycles. Now that B is way too big, and that bothered me. But now you'll notice, I don't know if you guys remember the first stuff I showed, the older school stuff, the outside edges of artwork is very jaggy. You notice that this is very smooth now? Okay, this is what, it's no big deal probably on the user side, but for those of us on the production side, it's a big leap forward to go from bitmap graphics, which is what the older things were, now to vector-based graphics, which basically means it's math that then interpolates the graphics. So it redraws this stuff on the fly at 12 frames a second. I know it's kind of nerdy, but it just makes things look better, let's put it that way. And they're faster over the internet to download. So I was really proud of this because I thought he did a really good job. A student had never taken a class like this before, had an artistic temperament, and then we did illustrations of these, and then I showed him how to kind of modify that stuff to kind of make it his own. So let's try another one. Go ahead and close that one out entirely. Let's keep looking around. In a second, we'll look at one of Richard's. Let's do Blue Guy, up in, the one in the middle there. Yeah, there you go. Again, these are brand spanking new. We did these last semester, and this is the first time any of these students have ever made anything that people have ever seen. This is just now, again, this is a runtime prototype, but it's very robust, I think. He's basically worked out all the details. He's got a couple levels here. Again, my role is not so much on, I mean, certainly the game design is a good gameplay, but all the little nerdy details about how to make those things sparkle and look cool, how to do a good run cycle, how to get the illusion of motion, even with just a simple little stick figure character. And I'll show you some stuff of much more sophisticated characters in a second. How many people have played a game like this already? You know what I'm saying? The side-scroller genre, it's all there, right? There's only about 6 real genres of games and a bazillion different variants. So I'm really happy with these things. Anyone familiar with, what am I thinking of? The Jetsons? They're little, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly, the robot made in the Jetsons. That's what we have here. I don't think he meant to do that until it was happening. I'm like, are you making the robot made in the Jetsons? Let's do that. But I like this game in that he's really worked out all the details, a lot of the behaviorist hooks to make you want to keep playing. You know, the reward aspect of it. You know, and you know, more complicated and more challenging as you go through the levels. So okay, so let's try another one. To give you an example here, go ahead and close that one. Let's do the I'm going to save the best for last, bro. Which one?
Jared Thompson. I'm just wondering what that's.
Do you know who Jared is? Yeah, that's who Jared's. Yes, that was going to be the next one. Yeah, that one right there. Yeah. Okay. Now this has got a little bit more sophisticated animation. Having people have seen Samurai Jack and the one with this is the animation show. Remember the one with the Scottish guy? And they go to these redneck alligators and they fight them and all that? Okay, here's the redneck alligators, robot redneck alligators, I guess. Now, this kind of fun stuff. Again, nerdy stuff, but like when he scrambles up, I'm really happy with that. See how he kind of climbs up? It'll do another one in a second. That there. It's just, you know, just stuff that I like to do. You know, it kind of
like when he gets on the edge there,
yeah.
He actually grabs on.
That's what I'm saying. That little scramble animation, we kind of worked on that a little bit to get that to look cooler.
And a bazooka in your back can never hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Back bazookas are the way to go if you're in the Flash world. So again, this is again a student who had never done a Flash game before, didn't really have a lot of animation or illustration techniques. You know, just sort of over the course of 15 weeks and spent a lot of time in the lab with me. Really kind of got there. Okay, all right. Let's try another one here real quick. How about okay? Let's try not for something completely different. Let's try the ESA Army. Yeah, that crazy thing. This one's a little disturbing. He did a good job on it though. Anime, of course, is a big influence around here, and you know he's doing his own sound effects. We'll get into the details of how this is done in a second. Well, not this one specifically.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I'm just happy it's a girl. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Except even though we're killing her with like, you know, little robot arms and all that stuff. So there you have it. Original character designs. He does his own work. The backgrounds are kind of wrong. I try to tend to not let you do huge bitmap graphics. Let's try another one. Hey, Richard, while we're at, let's go ahead and show yours, man. I'm the serious games professor here. This is games that train. Basically educational games, but now we're getting towards simulations, doing things in 3D. Richard decided to make a serious game, in a sense. The target audience here for this would be, we kind of talked about Richard, it would be kind of pre-med students or people in high school that are learning general biology, but the idea is, now this is not finished yet. He actually programmed some of this. I do not teach programming. He pretty much taught himself programming enough, and I gave him tutorials and got you started. But this is one of the few actual functioning games. Did some really nice work, I think, inside the cell itself, by moving those little elements around. Like, we'll get into details about how that's accomplished. I'm not sure if you're supposed to be making bacterial Twinkies. Is that what we got here?
Honestly, I've just seen a picture of Google and I tried to.
Yeah. Well, you did a great job, Richard. Again, for a first semester, you know, one of 5 classes you took in the semester, I think you did a fantastic job. The idea here is eventually, you know, it's an identification. You play this game and you get more than the Twinkie here. You get all sorts of bacteria and viruses that are in the bloodstream, and then you can freeze it, right? We were talking about that, and freeze it, and then you can get a little information about what the blood Twinkie is there, and whatever else is in there. So you play the game, you learn, you have fun. All the behaviors hooks are in there of a regular game. That's the whole point of a serious game. Is it can't be just serious. It has to be fun. You have to want to do it just like any other game. But the magic is we also sort of embed information and training at the same time. So this is just more or less a pretty good working prototype. But eventually you'll have all sorts of weird things in here, and you're playing as the white corpuscle, as a T cell that that attacks invading bodies in the bloodstream and things like that. Okay, all right. Let's see what else we got here. We'll get into some. Let's see. I think we've got time for maybe one more. Let's do the. Let's do this one. Steve Clark's Squire Journey. Yeah. So quest adventures, text adventures, things like that. This is what this is. And now, of course, he wants to do a much expanded version of this. But this was less about the animation and more about sort of creating the world. He's gone all the way with inventory systems, but there are lots of little Flash games out there. This is the EverQuest World of Warcraft kind of model, metastasized onto a very, very simple 2D vector-based artwork here. But again, the point of these things are twofold. You make all the artwork that can be then programmed in the second semester, so you actually are doing first part of a two-part production cycle. But then also making a portfolio piece that anyone can see, that does not require any learning curve. It's the sort of thing you sit down in an interview with if you're trying to get a design job, if in the Flash world specifically, but just to have something in your portfolio. So I make sure that in almost all of my classes, whenever possible, we integrate a portfolio final deliverable, so you have something to show. So the whole idea of doing these runtime demos is something you can do in the first semester without programming and actually have more or less a finished piece that otherwise you wouldn't have. So that's more or less my philosophy, and that's the general philosophy of most of the instructors here, those that teach production. Let's go ahead and talk about how this starts. Go ahead and, can you open up the Word doc real quick, Jose's asset list? Right? So the way this semester starts in this particular class, the first couple weeks is really rowdy and it's a lot of fun, where I have everybody come out and bring in a few links of games that will inspire them. Okay, I think I want to make a game like this. Okay, now it's not a direct ripoff. It's, it never can be, as a matter of fact. It's very much like, I might like the animation of this character. I might like the character designs or the overall visual look of this. I might like the gameplay of that one. So we come in and in the first few weeks of class, we sit around and just obsess and deconstruct and sort of brainstorm around and analyze games that are already out there in the industry and what their influences are on the individual student. Within a few weeks then, we go to, the first real assignment is, let's do a screen layout. And the lectures and some of the tutorials are simply how to do that in Flash. So you'll notice that some of this artwork is 3D. This particular student brought stuff in from a 3D program. I think he made some of the backgrounds in 3D. But again, it's just the first look. It's that first visualization of, I think I'm making this. Okay, don't necessarily hold to that. But then the second assignment then is, once we've kind of decided that, this is again their first get their feet wet in Flash, and I'll show you some specifics on that in a second. Go ahead and scroll down now. Then the second part of the assignment is the asset list. And this is essentially just a shopping list of the things you have to make. Okay, from every element. This is a lot what I did too at Berkeley Systems. We would come to the concept, I'd make a quick running prototype very much like this. So this is also this particular class with these runtime demos is very much industry standard. Before you get the money to make something cool, you have to be able to show the money people, hey, producer guy, this is why I need 10 grand, because I have to do all this. And the asset list is how you how you justify that. Every little element here. So of course he started. The first bit is everything in each level. He's got 3 levels designated here. He's going to have to make palm trees, buildings. He's going to spell that. Ground. I do not grade on spelling in this class. Main character boxes. All the things he needs to make for these levels. Go ahead and scroll down. So everything that has to be made is there, and then all the animations of those elements. Okay, so again, this is a industry standard way for my lovely bean counter people, the non-creatives that make the whole world go around, decide, okay, well, we're not paying for that, or we are paying for that, or you said you're only going to make these many things, and now you're asking for more money. You don't get to do that. We bid on this. Okay, so the screen layout and the asset list is literally very industry standard to kind of put together. If you're on staff as a creative, this is what you're on staff to do, and then you come to this point, and then you go, okay, producer guy, he's got X amount of money to make this stuff. Here's why I need to do it. And this justifies the time and money we need to spend on it. Okay, so that's the first couple assignments. And then we pretty much dive into actually making stuff. Before we get into the nuts and bolts, we just looked at the design doc. This is the actual finished project. So the design doc in the first 3 weeks, 15 weeks later, he's got this. And where did it go? Publish preview to Flash. Try one more time. Publish preview to Flash. Is it going to work? There she is. OK. Kind of hard to see. Yeah, yeah. So my main focus now, when you're looking over here, and we'll get into this in a second, there's 3 main elements to a Flash game. Yeah. But again, the idea here is, and there'll be something much funnier in this, you know, it's got to be fun. It's got to come from the student's interests. That's why it's hard to like nail down a rubric. Exactly, this is what I want, because everybody's a little bit different. And again, student-centered learning theory is, let's find the thing the student really cares about, and let's focus it around. Let's bend the curriculum around there so they feel fulfilled. And they're motivated, much more motivated. So when they want to make like a death metal army killing game, you know, that's because that's where they're coming from, and they're excited. So that's all I need. OK, so that's good. Make that stop. That little explosion at the end. Let's go ahead and click on Soldier down here. Can you see what I'm doing with this guy right here? Yeah, open that one up. Go ahead and scrub through that real quick. These are now, we're going to get into better detail, but this is frame-by-frame animation, or more or less frame-by-frame. It's a little bit of tweening animation. You see the 4 levels up here. Now we're getting into something much more sophisticated. This is a very simple one. This is just basically a piece of artwork that he found on the web. We vectorized it so it's not exactly a bitmap anymore. And then taking the pieces, you see the 4 levels, arms, legs. There's one for each leg, a gun, and a body. So everything that moves independently has to be separated out as an individual artistic element. So this is a very, very simple one. Yeah, thank you. Yay, Richard. OK. Let's go ahead and we can close out of that one. I just want to get you started on that. Let's go ahead into the Ninja one. Go ahead and, where did my library go? What happened to our library? Oh, there we go. OK. Go into My Ninja Tweens down here. And we almost have the technology where I'm going to be able to just literally click on this. And let's do My Ninja MC here. Yeah, there you go. So now what we're seeing here is, can you scroll so we see more of the timeline up there? Okay, so real quick, you know, when I lecture on this, we break into the 4 main elements here: the timeline, the actual scene, and the library of all the elements that go into it. Okay, again, that's several weeks of, you know, basically describing how this works. You see these little red flags on the upper, on like frame 4. See those little red flags? Those designate different elements that, or different actions that this character takes. Now you'll notice when you play the game, and what Tim was doing, you know, every time you use a space bar or do the arrow key, it will, you know, the game will react and give you the artwork that relates to it. Go ahead and scrub a little bit back for that first bit. That is obviously, now you'll see, you can see his little standstill. So you'll see that these little elements are then broken into pieces. At standstill, runtime. Go ahead and scroll to runtime real quick. Okay, now here's this runtime stuff. Okay, and the reason I have you do everything on one big level here like this, because that way the artwork is consistent when you jump from piece to piece. If you did it in separate elements, if you didn't do it all in one big timeline like this and separate it with those little flags, the coding would have to go out and jump and get something else, and sometimes the artwork would glitch around if you don't have it exactly lined up. This way it's always going to be lined up. Go ahead and go to the next one. So you're seeing all the little pieces. There's the running part. There's the attacking part. You know, and this is just standard fare for any Flash game, and this is the way it's usually organized. So my job has always been making all the artwork, doing the animation design, optimization so it'll work well on the CD-ROM or on the website, and then I do it in the way the programmer wants it, and then we hand it off to the programmer and come back a month later and it all works. So, okay. So, you know, now you'll notice that each element that changes and moves has its own labeled layer. Head, hind legs, forelegs, body, katana, whatever it is he's got. If it's going to move independently of anything else, it has to be its own layer, and that way it can basically control how that works. Okay, now this is something that's happening right now. This is a student. We're in the last third of this semester right now, so it's starting to get hot and heavy. He's been working really very hard. Now, this particular individual, you asked me about rubrics or different ways I emphasize things. This guy is an excellent illustrator. He's a student that has cartoon illustration in his blood. Let's go ahead and just publish that. Publish preview to Flash. So I'll just go ahead and let this thing run around. Now, he spent a lot of time creating the artwork, doing the animation. Now, to me, this is professional level animation for this genre of game. I worked very closely with him. Again, this is, you know, one of my fortes. It's something I did early in my career, a great deal of, and I really do love doing animation like this. What we got here is an example of implied motion. You'll notice that, and the motion is moving a little fast, you'll notice that we have a walk cycle of the guy. So think of the ninja stuff. He's all laid out. And there's the walk cycle and then the shooting stuff. That's as far as he's got right now. And we're going to add some sound to this, and I'll show you about basically how we can change the timing here. But the idea is that the cowboy has got his little walk cycle. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. Go ahead and let's do the cowboy walk cycle. And I'm a big stickler about labeling things because something about industry stuff, it may seem like we're just learning how to do flash games, but we're also learning professional production practices, such that when you do the work, you have to know that other people are going to work on it too. That you have to make it in such a way and organize in such a way that you're not a one-man army here. It's definitely a team. It's a collaborative effort in a lot of cases. Some people do the work completely by themselves, but even so, I still see to it that everything is labeled. Someone who understands can look at it very quickly and know what your intentions are. So here we go. We got the frame-by-frame stuff. Can we maybe zoom in on this guy a little bit? Actually, you know what, Richard? It'd be easier for you. I was doing this last night. Use that thing. There you go. And yeah, thank you. Let's make him even bigger. Can you go ahead and scroll? Move the timeline up a little bit. There you go. Maybe not so far that we can't see everything, but just welcome to Flash. Lots of shuffling windows. There you go. Okay, go ahead and scrub that so we can get a little more detail what he's doing. Now, you'll notice here that every little cell is separate. Okay, when I say a little cell up in your timeline, this means that each little piece can be worked on individually. Okay, and when you're doing traditional character animation or this kind of animation, it's very much on the frame, on the cell, 1/12 of a second at a time, essentially, because these usually run about 12 frames a second. So yeah, thank you, Richard. Thank you. So you see that everything now, the hat didn't necessarily have to be separate. He just sort of did that. I couldn't catch him. Things that don't move don't need to be separate, but he did that anyway. So I couldn't stop him. But certainly all the stuff with the legs. Let's go ahead and just scrub a little bit. Let's focus on the legs here a little bit. So he's got a black arm there for a minute. I didn't catch that before. That's weird. Okay, we'll fix that later. What this is go ahead and grab one of the legs. Grab that. Yeah, there you go. And do that with the. Go click on the line, and so we can get a sense of what the line does. Hello, or is it locked? He's got everything locked. Go ahead. You can just at the very top double click on the lock and unlock everything. There you go. Click on the outside line. There you go. Use the free rotation tool. This one right there, and then just show how we can kind of move stuff around. Just go ahead and just don't worry about messing it up. Okay, so this is very, very quick, and unfortunately the line and the artwork and the colors aren't connected because I'm just winging it right now. But this is how things are moved frame by frame. You take each little element, and it's got its independent, so then you can squash and stretch. Show how squash and stretch works too. Go ahead and grab, just make it bigger or smaller. There you go. So you can, there's a lot of ability to mutate the line and do things. So you start with one thing and you kind of exaggerate it and do different things with it otherwise. Maybe we can undo all the way so we don't kill that. How many undos you got to do? He's just going back to all his motions. It's Control Z or undo the last thing, just like in Microsoft Word. There we go. I think we're back to normal now. Okay. So at this stage, let's go ahead and do the cowboy shooting. Let's click on this one here. Are there any general questions about what I'm doing? Am I talking too fast? Am I just jumping all over the place? How are we doing? Okay. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Maybe a little bit more zoom. Thank you, Richard. Okay. So this is the bit now you'll notice when I show the runtime, he walks up and he starts shooting, but you don't hear anything. So I thought we did. I'll show you how to put audio in this real quick. We'll make a gunshot happen real quick. So here on these frames here. Richard, go ahead and open up a new frame, a new layer, and we'll make one, yeah, just right. Just click on this thing right here. There you go. We're making a new layer on top, and I'm going to call that, why don't we just call that muzzle flash, or we're just going to make a simple little yellow thing happening there. So this is very much rubber meets the road here, how it's actually done. It's kind of tedious and boring, but it's a lot of fun too. Just do a keyframe on that last frame. Right there. Oh, listen, no, go back. I'm sorry. Go back to where it would be. I think maybe frame 1. Yeah. I'm trying to think where the muzzle flash is. Yeah, right there. Yeah. So okay. Now he's inserted a blank keyframe. There's no artwork there yet, but now we've basically made it possible to draw on top of this stuff. So Richard, if you don't mind, use a pencil tool. Maybe get some yellow. Right in here. Oh, hello. Right here. There you go. Close enough. And let's make that color. Yeah. I think that's your stroke color. Yeah. Use this one down there. There you go. And let's get some yellow, yeah, why not? Okay, and just with the pencil tool, not the pen, that'll make your life harder. Use the pencil tool. Richard's doing great. Round of applause for Richard for helping out here, by the way. woke up early on a Saturday to help me do this. Yeah, you're using the pen tool. I think it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. I wouldn't use a pen tool. Yeah, use the pencil. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so right there, I'm just going to let you, well, that's a little bit sloppy. Can we draw something maybe a little bit more like this? Oops, that's even worse. We could kind of do one of those. I'll take that back. I'd like it to kind of go like that, so you can get a little bit of a shot. Or you could just do something like that. There you go. More or less. Okay, that's going to be, well, you know, how about the brush? How about the brush? I think the pencil's giving you trouble there. Oh, you got the stroke on. You got the stroke on. Yeah, yeah. So we'll figure it out. He's doing great. Okay. Okay, close. Yeah, there you go. That's something. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Well, that's all right. You got the star, the C star there. Yes. Yeah, go ahead and dump yellow in there too while you're at it. Just dump the whole yellow in there all the way. Okay. All right. So now we got a little element. We've got it on the frame at the beginning of this. And go ahead and scrub that through. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. So it's animation. It doesn't quite look great yet, but when it's moving at 12 frames a second, you can get away with a lot. Okay. Let's open up another layer altogether, Richard, and we'll make audio for that. Okay. So you notice how we're keeping layers separate. Whatever's on top, think of stacks of paper. What's on the very bottom is behind. Whatever's on the very top is in front. Okay, that's why I put the muzzle flash in the very beginning. Go ahead and just grab Colt 45 MP3 in there. Now that's just a standard MP3 that I imported from a sound effects CD. There's also lots and lots of great stuff on the web. And go ahead and just drag that in there on frame 1. You only have to make a keyframe possibly. Do a keyframe on frame 1. And this is really nerdy stuff. Insert keyframe. You have to tell Flash what you're doing all the time. Yeah, that's where you want it right there. And you should just be able to drag it just right there. Yeah. You're not letting you do it? Well, then drag it on the stage then. Yeah. And it may seem sometimes like I don't know what's going on because I don't. The program changes every year. And sometimes they change, they move things around just so they can say they sold a new piece of software. A lot of times it's the exact same work that you've done, but they have now changed where the key command is, they've changed where they put it just to keep me on my toes. So anyway, we got the little sound there. You don't hear it yet because we haven't published it. So let's go ahead and go to the scene. Go back to the main scene there. Okay. So you've got separate timelines where you do individual artwork, and then you've got the overall timeline that displays all the things in the movie. So go ahead and publish preview to Flash, and let's pray that we shouldn't need prayer, but yeah. Okay. So he should walk up there, and then the background begins. It starts moving. And then, that's just the walk cycle repeating itself until we tell it around frame 45. Yeah. An applause for Richard. Good job. Okay. I mean, nerdy animation world, this is lots and lots of fun. And there's a great sense of accomplishment and gratification when a student who's never done anything like this before suddenly is making artwork that they're basically in the industry now. The way this class works now, again, I'm sort of bringing this class to UAT, and we're constantly innovating, we're constantly developing. What this is an example of basically me walking the student through this process. So when we come to labs, and we're doing this right now too, we're Camtasia capturing everything that's happening on the screen as well as audio. And you probably can't hear it. I think I may have messed up the audio a little bit. But this is me talking to Nick as we go through the actual process of doing this. Maybe scrub a little bit further till you see the black lines come along. There you go. So this is me showing him basically how, this is the beginning of this. He hadn't put the graphics in the, hadn't colored the background yet. But I'm explaining to him frame by frame, or just in process, how we go about doing this. So another student, so this becomes like a little bit in the, let's call it the shared memory or the collective unconscious of all the students, that then they can go back and so if I need to do implied motion, and you want my character to walk out and I want the background to work, this is the one that shows you how to do that. Okay. Now, there's lots of tutorials out there on the web, but this is something that the instructors, and I'm not the only one, we pretty much all do this, to teach these kinds of production classes, either in 3D or in video or in this vector-based animation. We record our sessions, and of course it's not that easy. I had to edit together and make it all concise and all. But we do this. We have usually about 10 or 15 elements, multimedia elements, or kind of tutorial elements that we create specifically and customized for the various classes that we teach. Okay, I really appreciate your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, let's give Richard and Vanessa a round of applause too. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay, Richard.
Okay.